Hello, everyone. Dr. Perkins here with the Be Better podcast. Today's episode is called Be Better with musician Phantom in the house live from San Francisco. But before we begin, just a reminder, what is Be Better podcasting all about? It's very simple. It's encouraging you to be better in all aspects of your life. What is that one step you can take? That one random act of kindness, that one thing you can do. It could be a goal, whatever it is. I'm just asking you and pushing you and encouraging you and inspiring you to please be better out there in the world. All right, let's get some Phantom. He's live again from San Francisco. How are you feeling, Phantom?
Hey, thank you, Dr. Perkins, for letting me be here today. I feel amazing. I'm blessed. I'm blessed.
Very good, very good. I like the background you got there. You got your guitar and your little
Yeah,
choir thing there. Are you in a little loft there in San Francisco? Is that where you kind of hang out?
yeah, I am. I'm downtown San Fran. This is my little Zen area where I record a lot, and just a good space to be in, headspace wise. It's a good loft to create things in, if you will.
Awesome, awesome. Please start out by telling the audience a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm from Connecticut, born and raised in New Haven, and raised in a town called New London. Um, from a very young age, I was influenced by a grandmother who was a pastor of a church, so much so that I remember being a kid, probably, I don't know, 5 or 6, and helping her move the chairs in from the kitchen into the living room where she had church in our house in the living room. A lot of folks say that they grew up in church. I literally grew up in a church environment. And then once they got the funds together, they bought their own church where she was a pastor of it. But the church has a big influence in my music. So being raised around that at a very young age has influenced my musical ear and how I write. And a lot of things that I do musically are pulled from the church base or background.
So that was one of your inspirations to kind of get going in the music field. Did you feel as you're in church, the choirs were singing, the band was playing, did it spark a little interest in you?
It did. I would sit, you start off sitting with your parents, and then you kind of migrate towards musicians. And I'm sitting by the drummer and the keyboardist, and then you can't play, you're a kid. But over the years, you want to play. So you're around that environment from a very young age. And then you get to an age where you can play. And I picked up drums, and now I play a little bit of keyboard, messing with guitar. So it really put that first oomph into me to want to be in music.
Okay. Did you do anything in high school? Were you in any plays or any bands or?
Yeah, so in high school, I did a lot of off Broadway stuff. Being from Connecticut, you're close to New York. So I was fortunate to play one of the main roles in this off Broadway play called The Arrows. So in some way, shape, or form, I've been involved in music, my entire life. I didn't get into the professional aspect until after my, um, well, I can't even say that. During high school, I was playing. So back in the day, there was a band called Arrested Development. They were had some songs like Tennessee and Mr. Window that were popular. They were kind of like a avant-garde band, won Grammys, all that type of good stuff. Unfortunately, they broke up in the I want to say late '90s, and their drummer, a guy named Razadon, was the cousin of my piano player in church where I play drums at. So after their breakup, he was going through some things, and he actually moved in with us in Connecticut. So his Moonmen from MTV used to be on my mantle. It was the coolest thing, and so I've always been around music in some way, shape, or form. But I learned a lot from Razanan as a drummer. I was a drummer as well. So over time, we became family. Razanan has a younger brother named Jason and Joanne, and what we would do is we would open shows for him before he played as a headlining artist. We played Philly, New Jersey, New York, and I bounced around for about a year as his drummer, doing that professionally. And then I would open the shows with his brothers before his shows. So I've been doing this for quite some time, always teetering on the level of being professional and learning as I go. But it wasn't until after my military career, left high school, went to the military, and the entire time recording, writing, doing music, had my own little setup. So I've never, there's not a part of my life that I have not been around or involved with music in some way, shape, or form.
Awesome. So you started out in the West Coast, born and raised,
East Coast,
or excuse me, East Coast, yes. And then you went into the military. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, thank you.
How many years were you in the military? And then you retired, and then you went to the West Coast. Is that how this plays out?
Yeah, so I was in the military for 15 years, deployed to Iraq and all that good stuff. I was a combat medic, and my identifiers were flight medicine and dive medicine. So I did that. I was in Iraq for 18 months during the end of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom. And then the third campaign was OND. So I was part of all of those, and then came back home, thankfully in one piece after many close calls. And it kind of changed my focus. I was doing music on and off, and something in me was pulling up my spirit, saying, "Hey, man, like, what the hell do you really want to do with your life? You made it back in one piece. Let's get focused." And a resounding answer in my mind was, "Do music." So I did that. Came back from deployment, got back to Hawaii. I was at not Fort Shafter, but Schofield Barracks in Hawaii. Came back there and just started to really begin to delve into doing more music.
So it sounds like you had that calling, that purpose, that intuition pulling you back to music.
Right, always been there, but after having some life-threatening experiences and learning that you could not be here tomorrow, right? You're People always say no man is promised tomorrow, but when you're in a situation where that's literally the case, you get focused real fast.
You get focused really fast. And I heard some stories. You have bullets flying past your head, and so yeah, that will refocus you.
Absolutely. So you pray to God that hey, if I can get back home in one piece, I'm doing this. And I have to say that when I got back home and I decided finally, hey, I'm doing this. There's no plan B. It's just this. Then oddly enough, in my mind, it felt like the universe kind of aligned with you once you get into accord with it. And I met some amazing people, and we'll talk more about that later on in the interview.
Okay, okay. And like you mentioned, some people go towards their purpose, and some people walk away from their purpose. And they
Right.
know when they walk away, it's that burning desire of emptiness. I should be doing something else.
Right.
So very good, very
Yeah.
good for going back toward your purpose.
Yeah. A lot of folks today, work jobs that they hate. My father, rest in peace. He worked at a job in a factory, not a factory, but a shipyard, raising our family. And I don't know if that was his dream job, but I knew he had a responsibility, and he worked and did what he had to do to take care of the family. I have that same drive, but I just choose to do it with what I love because, again, you're not promised tomorrow. I thank him for his sacrifice, but I think that I could do it today in a way that would also be doing what I love and make it into a profitable situation.
So I love the lessons that you're learning, and then you're taking advantage of these lessons. So for the youngsters out there, even anyone can learn from this.
Right.
That we need failure sometimes. We need to be scared sometimes to refocus. We need things in life to kind of kick us in our butt to move us forward. And it's a matter of if you're going to really recognize that, grab it and move forward, or ignore it and kind of just live a mediocre life moving forward.
Absolutely. A lot of us get comfortable. And for me, that's the worst place to be, is to be comfortable. You begin to accept the mediocre lifestyle. And it's done in a way in life where you're comfortable being comfortable. And I know when I get comfortable, I'm doing something wrong. It's time to find that uncomfortable side of things. I think beyond that is where you find your true greatness. So I'm trying to do things. For example, being in music, I can play by ear. I can jam with the best of them, but I can't read music, right? And that's been nagging my mind. All the true greats, Prince, Donny Hathaway, even Michael Jackson, like they all knew music, right? So I had this call on, hey man, you got to learn theory. It's gonna suck, it's tough, But a true musician, knows every aspect of his craft, not just the fun part, which is jamming out with your friends, but can you really know what a triad is and circle of fifths and all these things? You need to know these chords to truly be a well-rounded musician. And the ones who know all those things, John Mayer, Brian McKnight, they are on the level of musicians. They are on the top group of that, right? Because they better understand their craft. So for me, as someone in music, how do I understand my craft? The best of my ability is to learn theory.
So doing something outside of your comfort zone that
Correct.
may not be sexy,
Right.
but knowing it will get you to a well-rounded place and you will be better in your area of specialty.
Absolutely. I think today you have people like Bruno Mars, Anderson Paak, guys who are right now, it's their time, and they are full blown musicians. They know all the theory. They know guitar parts, how to tap your instruments. And I think we're getting now back to the era of music where we had a long run of guys just singing and rapping, and that's cool. But now I think we're getting back because of Bruno Mars and Anderson Paak. We're getting back into true musicians who know their instruments, know their craft, because there's nothing more. It's not sexy learning it, but there's nothing more sexy to go into a band rehearsal and you give them the music, your music, and they play what you put down on paper versus them doing their own thing. And Donny Hathaway was a great vocalist that he could hear, when you didn't play what he wants you to play. Ray Charles, same thing. They have this upper level of musical intelligence that they know the sounds and chords. Even when they're singing and performing, they can tell, hey, you're off on that note. That's the wrong key. And that's just where I want to be.
That's another great point of, in my opinion, this new society, it's not necessarily the generation because society takes on all generations.
Right.
They're quick to want the, like you said, the MTV award,
Right.
but they don't want to put in the work.
I agree with
They
that.
don't want to. They don't want to go to the uncomfortable areas, the unsexy things. Put
Right.
in that time. They just want to be at surface level and get the awards. And like you said, they want to produce music that it's their vision.
Hmm.
Not another guy girl comes in. How about this? Yeah, that sounds okay. As long as I'm singing my lyrics, I'm fine. And this is
Right.
going to be a hit record. But no, you want it the way you truly visualize it,
Right.
down to the nth degree. So.
Let me
Uh,
tell you, in today's day and age, man, the game has changed. Music is not what it used to be. Labels are still raping artists for sure. Musically, you're still doing 360 deals and 90-10 splits to the label. They're still getting over on you. But today, with Spotify and playlists, and it's a new game where you don't really need a label, right? You don't have all the flashy stuff. Yeah, that's true, but you're able to. The reach is there, right? So, long story short, back in the day, you get with a label because they could put you in front of everybody. But now with Instagram and YouTube and all these other platforms, you can do it yourself now, right? But the key thing is when the money comes in, it's yours. There's no divides, there's no splits, and you have people today who may not even be that well known who are crushing it, financially in the game of music because they understand what a lot of people fail to see, which is this is the music business, right? Yeah, it's music, but it's a business, and if you're terrible at your business, you won't make any money. So I would definitely encourage people to definitely be a full-rounded musician, and then but also be about your business, right? So learn the laws and split sheets and and there's so many things that come to mind, but split sheets and your royalties and how they pay you out, who pays you more, who pays you less, what PROs collect those royalties. It's a slew of things you need, but it's time to get into the books and learn your craft.
And that's a great point. As you know, I author books. And when I started out, you only know what you know.
Right.
So you make deals with a publishing company, you stick with them, and you quickly realize they get 90% of your creativity.
Absolutely.
And my recent book, Eye Against Eye, which will be out the spring of 2022,
Congrats.
we
Congrats.
transition to a new publisher, and I get 100% of the royalties.
There you go.
So it's just like you said, knowing your business, going
Right.
in, you don't know much, so you're going to make some mistakes, and that's okay if it's at the beginning. What you
Right.
don't want to do is make mistakes during and then after your career.
Yeah, I agree with that. Putting yourself in rooms where you're not the top guy, right? I'm constantly going to seminars for music and other self development seminars where they know more than me. You want to be in those spaces. If you're comfortable or you're the main dog somewhere, then you're in the wrong place because you're missing out on vital information that you need in this game today, right? I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I want to be around those who've been there, done that. So put yourself around seminars. One in particular is Ryan Leslie. Ryan. Long story short, was a guy that worked with Puff Daddy, had an artist from Connecticut named Cassie, and he was doing beats for them in her album, and he was doing well. But once he introed his girlfriend Cassie and his artist to Puff, Puff took his girl, and but he was smart. He knew that it was business. Keep the personal things to the side. So he knew if he was to act how most men would act in a situation, now you lose those doors that could be open for you in the game, right? Puff is a popular guy. He knows X, Y, and Z. Am I gonna get mad and fight him over this girl, or go with my career? So Ryan, being a guy from Harvard, he went the smart route, and he knew about owning your own stuff, owning your own masters, right? And now he does very well, made money from that venture, and then pivoted into IT, right? Into the smartphone or one phone, I think it's called. But you're able to actually change the dynamic and the interaction you have with your fans, right? By having their phone and email, you can directly email them to say, "Hey, I'm gonna be in town, Dr. Perkins, on this day. If you're free, come out to my small pop up or my concert." And he knew a numbers game by having 10,000 fans in your book, that when you reach out to them, maybe 1,000 of them show up, which translates into X amount of dollars in T-shirt sales and ticket sales. He grasped that at a young age, and right now he does it very well for himself. So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Where get out of your bubble, get around folks doing not only new things in music, but also doing different pivots that you may not know about, how to pivot out of music into bigger and better things. 50 Cent, same thing, was a rapper. Now he's in movies. The biggest one that comes to mind is Will Smith. Was a rapper, Fresh Prince. Now, one of the biggest actors that we know of. So you want to do things, open doors, and then make those pivots. That's very important.
Very well said. And one thing I want to pull out of that your recent words is how you react.
Mm.
Now, just a great example here. He lost his woman to Puff Daddy. He could
Right,
have been all upset, but he
right,
said, "Cool, you got the lady. There's other ladies in the world
exactly.
who are better, who won't leave you.
Right,
That was wrong on her part, but
right.
there's better women out there, and I'm going to expand my brand also, and come back and be bigger, better, faster, stronger."
Yeah, and he did that. He went overseas as a European artist from the U.S. Knew the market over there was more receptive to American artists, and just blew up over there. Now he does very well for himself. He's dating supermodels in Europe on private jets. I mean, the guy did it right. Versus you look at what could have happened, and then what would he be?
Yeah, exactly. Very good. How did the name Phantom come about?
Yeah, so growing up young, having five siblings, we were always very competitive. So I always wanted to outdo or ghost my competition, right? And that transferred over into the military. Having you wanted to know who the top dog was. So I was good at PT, which is working out, and my leader skills. So there's always this competition there. So when I got into music, I wanted to have a name that would kind of represent that. So I chose Phantom, which is like a ghost or an entity. And my tagline is, Phantom and then ghost your competition. So that's why I chose Phantom, because I want to absolutely ghost my competition, right? So I'm climbing that ladder right now. You got Amarion and Usher and Chris Brown, and we're all doing our own thing. But my goal is to watch them, learn from them, see the things that they do well and not so well, and then capitalize on those points. Back to what I was saying before, one of those is learning music and knowing the theory. They're all great dancers. They're all great, performers. But do they know, chords? Can they write down, a spreadsheet of the notes for a certain song? They're at a level now where they can hire people for that. But my goal is to be 100% complete as a musician. So knowing the dancing and the artistry of it, but also the backside of it as well. So I want to absolutely ghost my competition, and you learn. Everybody pulls from everybody. Every music, jazz, blues, gospel pulls from rock. Well, rock pulls from them, I should say. But every genre pulls from each other to make something else. So right now, my band, we have a sound that has been referred to, not my words, but people that come to my show. We've been compared to Bruno Mars type of music, which to me is very humbling. But you just want to be moving in a direction of real music. I want to make timeless music. So that's my intention. And to do that, I need to be a well-rounded musician.
Very nice. What genre of music do you write and sing?
So I can write for anything, but my personal best genre is R&B. Um, I like doing 90s R&B, Bobby Brown, New Edition, Boys and Men. I like the band aspect of music. So my band is a seven-piece band, drums, bass, guitar, piano, horn section, and we do 90s R&B slash pop music, which is very much similar again to Bruno's type of sound. And the reason for that is I find a lot of artists today go with the Chris Brown or the singer rapper type of genres, which is not bad. R&B, hip hop, I do that too. But there was just that's such a crowded niche, and I didn't see anybody doing like the band thing, right? Everyone's doing the one-on-one tracked audio at the show. They're playing your track, and you're singing to your track. I don't want you to. You can play my music on anywhere you can buy music, Spotify, Apple. I want you to hear me sing it, not listen to me sing to me on a track, right? So the band gives you that more alive aspect. And let's just be honest, man, a bad experience versus someone playing this stuff over a loudspeaker or over the intercom at a concert. The band experience is just a way better experience to hear the drum parts and the guitar. You can really jam together. So an artist that comes to mind is Daniel Caesar, right? Young guy coming up, not the best vocalist, but when he does his style of what he does, he's the best at that. His sound is unique to himself, and his band is on point. So his live shows, I really appreciate because of those parts of the instruments that you can't really hear by themselves if you just play a track and sing to a track at a live performance.
Very good, very good. What are your music goals? I know you're in the middle of producing an album right now.
Right. So going back before, I said that once I began to get super focused, laser focused on what I wanted to do, which was music, I began to align myself with people that I would not usually have been aligned with. For example, there's a guy named Mr. Talkbox. You can find him at Mr. Talkbox on Instagram. He works with everybody you can think of, but he has this tube in his mouth for the instrument called a talkbox. The talkbox was made famous by a guy named Roger and Zapp back in the 70s, Computer Love, some classic songs that we all know and love. But now in today's era, it's this guy's Talkbox. And he has worked with everybody you can think of, Timberlake, on tour, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys back in that time, all the way up to today, Stevie Wonder, Snoop Dogg, like all of our favorite artists, he has worked with on some level with, be it behind the scenes musically or featured him on a song with a Talkbox. And as most recent person is Bruno Mars. He's best known for the intro to 24 Karat Magic with Bruno Mars. That's him on the intro of that song. And they're at right now on YouTube at 1.4 billion with a B views of that song. And that song, Please Me with him and Cardi B and Bruno Mars. And it's a whole slew of other songs. This guy is just phenomenal. So I reached out to him on Instagram. It's a shot in the dark. All he can say is no. And left him a very heartfelt voicemail about, wanting to record and needing someone of his caliber to kind of get me to where I was going, which is that 90s R&B, Jodeci type of sound that no one's doing today. So left him a voicemail, and then about About a week later, I get a call from a blocked number. I'm like, who's calling from a black number? I answer the phone, and lo and behold, it's Talkbox. I'm like, what? So I'm flipping out, like, oh man, you called back. Like that's like, man, I couldn't believe it, right? So then we were talking about, what the plan was. I sung for him, played with some of my stuff, and he's such a top tier musician that he said to me honestly, "Hey man, if I don't like your stuff, I wouldn't even work with you. But I like your stuff, so let's figure out what we're gonna do and move forward." I'm like, absolutely. So that in itself, to have someone at that caliber, not only hear your music but to appreciate it as well, for me was just like, oh, I'm in cloud nine. And then the caveat on top of that is to work with him on songs, and we have songs now out on my Instagram, which is at More Phantom. He's we have a single on there right now, linked in my bio. But just to work with a guy that it's hard to find a producer that is in line with your vision, right? But when you have a guy that's played your vision with the actual artist that you're in love with and knows that sound to a T, harmonies and all, and can give you that sound on your project is like it's a godsend. So, and that didn't happen until I got laser focused on what I want to do, and if this is what I want to do, then let's run for that. And in doing so, I met him, and then to caveat that again, meeting him and working with him, he introduced me to a guy named Bosco. And Bosco right now is like one of the hottest behind the scenes producers in the game right now. I'm in San Fran, and Bosco's from Oakland, which is E40, uh, Kaylani, which is a big female artist from Oakland. I'm forgetting so many artists from Oakland, but there's a lot of artists. But this guy, Bosco, works with Kanye West, Stevie Wonder as well. And his latest song is with, I always say her name wrong. I believe it's Dua Lipe. But their latest song is her song is with the baby, Dua Lipe, and my boy Bosco, and they just passed 1 billion views on Spotify with their song. So I'm working with two guys who are industry leaders on my project, and I'm excited to get that done because I know that the quality of sound is just going to be phenomenal.
So what I heard from you is you took another courageous step,
Exactly.
reached out to people, and that's what it's all about, building those relationships. One
Right.
guy knows one girl knows another guy, boom boom boom, and that's how things get started. A courageous step, people know people, you're working hard to make it happen, and then your world goes from little to much bigger.
Yeah, I think you have a lot of wannabe musicians, and then you have those who actually go out there and get it. And if you're dicking around, not being focused on what you want, and kind of like, well, I'll do this, that falls through, I'll do this, you're not going to make it. You got to give it all, be all in on it. For me, there's no plan B. This is it. Right?
So
I'm doing
you must be committed, not interested.
right. Exactly. Yeah. It can't be a hobby. It has to be your thing, and this is definitely my thing, and I enjoy it thoroughly. And I surround myself and my life completely with music on every aspect, from school to people I'm around to my spare time. You can't see, but off to your left of the camera is a microphone and a recording apparatus. Like I'm around it all the time. So I think if you want to get serious with it, but whatever it may be, then immerse yourself in that, and then it'll happen.
Be around like-minded people.
Absolutely.
Very good, very good. When your album does come out, what platforms can people find your album?
Right. So I have a single out right now called "Prescription for Love," and that is featuring Mr. Talkbox. And we are on Instagram. It's at More Phantom, MorePhantXM. Phantom is spelled with an X and an O. But on that, in the link below that, in my bio, I'm on Spotify, Apple, everywhere you can find music. I'm on by just happening More Phantom, and that's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. I'm everywhere. Everywhere you can find music, I'm there. But that's my single. The album will be completed by the end of next month, and then mixed and mastered. I want to have it out by spring break this year.
Awesome, awesome. This year of 2022.
Correct.
What would you say is the good, bad, and the ugly in the music industry?
Great question. Good, bad, and ugly. The good is, the lights and glamour. The bad is not being a businessman or a woman for your craft and having a label. Don't be so fast. Master P, Percy Miller. talks about it all the time. Y'all so stuck on the lights and flash, you forget that this is a business, And TLC is a good example of that. Top of their game with no scrubs back in the '90s, and they were broke. And in their interview, they say, "Hey, we're top selling female artists group, 100 million records sold, and we are broke because they got happy with the lights and they signed a contract. It was a terrible contract, and they weren't making any money. So the bad is that you really need to know your business, learn. It takes a while. Learn about all the royalties and the split sheets and who gets what percentage. I'm going through it now, right? Consult with lawyers. It's going to cost you a little bit of money, but you want to know those things that when you go into a meeting, you have questions and responses to answers that the label's looking for. If not, they're gonna rape you. It's designed from you have Aerosmith, right? Steven Tyler. I saw an interview last week saying that they haven't got paid still from their first album, right? All the hits they've had, Aerosmith is a massive name. They still have problems with the label getting paid, right? Prince did the same thing, signed at 19 for a 10 album deal. No one does that, right? So they own you. You're a slave to the label, right? Who else? There's so many artists that come to mind that have hopped in there too fast and got burned, right? So the bad is that if you don't know your business, somebody else will, and they'll get over on you. Uh, and the ugly of it, the good, bad, and the ugly is that it happens all the time. I think people, um, there are not enough people that are integrous in the game because they know that for one, you can make big money if you have a good selling artist, right? If they see that you're good, they can make a lot of money off you. And two, if you don't know about your masters, right? If you don't know how to keep those, if you don't know how to protect yourself with proper contracts. The ugly, the bad, and the ugly go together. People out there are looking to prey upon you. And the good thing about it today is there are some industries, some labels who are independent labels. If you're an indie artist, you're independent. There are some new labels that are working with you. Where they'll say, "Hey, listen, for your first 2 years off the ground, we want 20%. You get 80%, and then once you get off the ground, we want 5% or 3%. As you're a big artist, that's more reasonable, right? But there are still the main labels, Capital and um, other main labels who are still doing the same old deals with artists. And a lot of times, what happens is, what's ugly about it is that you'll sign a contract. Let's say you're on Capital and you have, Dr. Perkins on Capital, who's a top selling artist. Their time is not going to be with you because you're the new guy. All their time's going to be with Dr. Perkins because he's the one doing all the big selling stuff, right? So you have to, even when you sign, look at, is this label invested in you, right? Are they really trying to put you on musically? And then the ugly is that you're getting, I got signed for $1 million. No, you got a loan for $1 million, right? You got to pay that back, right? Don't go buy your car and your big house and you got to pay that back, right? And they oftentimes want 5-10 times the value that they gave you before you get paid, right? So it really is a business. And if you don't know that going into this, it's ugly because they're going to rape you, 3, 4, 5 ways. So the good, bad, ugly, unfortunately, is more bad and ugly than there is good. But the good thing is today you don't need labels if you really know your business. And there are plenty of groups and meetups you can go to learn more about that. My favorite artist right now is an indie artist called Russ, Russ. Totally independent, no big labels, and he is crushing it. Got to a point where he was well known as an independent artist, and then he went to a major. Labels are called majors, but at that point now he has leverage. Right now he's known and famous without a label. So now, hey, I'll give you 10%. I get 80% or 90%. You get 10%, and then we'll go from there. So how's that work? Then they put the machine behind him, promote him as a new artist on that label. So now you have the mainstream marketing, which is good. But when they hear a new song from him off that label, they go, "Oh, what else does Anthony do? What else does Russ do?" Then they say, "Okay, you know what? Let's go look up his past catalog." So now he gets sales from his stuff, before the label, on top of what he gets from the label, just very, very well done. So my advice and all that would be make sure it's not bad signed to a label, but make sure you have leverage before you do so. If not, they're going to rape you.
Great advice. Great advice. And then it's what you said. You said many, everything you're saying is very important. A point that sticks out with your just current words is go slow to go fast. That's what I'm hearing from you. Going
Right.
slow to go fast. So, what does that mean? Going slow means learning, listening, taking notes, teaming up with like minded people, getting to know the business, stepping outside your comfort zone, and learning all areas of music. So, you are more, you're just a better musician. So,
Mhm.
go slow, do all that. So, when you're going fast, when you're in the spotlight, you're shining, you're sharp.
Right, right. Yeah, two guys come to mind on Instagram, on YouTube, Dorian82 and the Mad Rapper. And they pretty much have had the success in the game, but now they do like instructional videos on, hey, if you're trying to get in the game, you need to do these things first. So if you're looking for more information, and that's who I follow and read a lot of their stuff, Dorian82 and the Mad Rapper, and they have programs that you can buy from them. Again, you have to invest in yourself. Nothing's going to be free. Invest in yourself, but they're telling you exactly what they did to get top Spotify playlists, to get a million downloads, and how much that pays. Like they go through all the little steps you need to take to get put on, essentially. So I would definitely recommend that to anybody looking to progress in any genre of music, is to check out these two guys. And there are many others, but those are just two that I've come to like, who are very no bullshit and very informative on what it takes and how to get into the game to begin to make some noise and then move from there.
So you have to spend some money to make some money.
Absolutely. You have to invest in you. If you can't invest in you, oh, I'm broke, I can't do it, then you're in the wrong field. In any field, whatever your love is, you have to take time to invest in yourself. That's just what it is. So save your money, get another job, do what you need to do, but it's going to cost you. Even because videos cost money, recording time costs money, instruments cost money. So this whole thing of, oh, I ain't got it. Okay, well then you're never going to have it then. So you have to, plan your budget out and move forward with that.
Very good. How do you balance music and your personal life?
That's a good question. I'm so involved with music that I do. It's one of the areas that I need to work on. Honestly, I do sometimes selfishly record or do things musically inclined more than with brothers or family. So recently I went on a trip to Phoenix to meet some old family I haven't seen in a while. You have to take time for family, but I'm just so driven right now with my album and getting things together that I've kind of like blocked the world out and just focusing on what I have to do to get this done. And then once it's done, I will reach out more. But I do have friends and family say, "Hey man, like we don't see you, man. You good?" And it's right now I'm focused. So my balance right now, to answer your question, is for me the balance is just music right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So I use an analogy with teams and with people when I work with them. And I use the right hand and the left hand analogy where here's my goal. And it's great to have goals. We need goals to really move forward. But
Right.
if we push ourselves too much, this tends to happen where our family life goes down. Our goals go up, we're focused, and then our family life goes down. And think about this being an airplane
Right.
in the wings of an airplane. Now, where's that airplane going? It's not going straight ahead.
Right.
It's going to the ground.
Right.
And that's where you hear the so and so hit rock bottom. There may be drug overdoses, suicides. So it's key to find that balance, whatever that is for you, and keep that goal, that plane flying this way, not crashing into the ground that way.
I agree. I agree. And again, back to artists I've seen before. Prince and these guys who are savants, if you will, in the game. They had these times where they were just really focused, right? So I agree. It won't be a long term choice as far as incorporating family, having more balance. But right now, as far as getting the album done, because it comes down to time, right? Having a girlfriend or the family, it takes time. What was supposed to be an hour is now 2 hours or a weekend. And right now, I can't. I have to focus on the task at hand, right? So I agree with you 100%. You should have a balance with both. But right now, I'm purposefully being a little bit selfish to just focus on my goal. Once that's done, I will definitely reach out and begin to be more family friendly again.
Very good. So it's okay sometimes to do this, but then straighten out. Do this and
Right.
straighten out, or do this and straighten out. It's okay.
You know why? Because in the game, you can't take everybody with you, right? And in your ascent up the ladder, all your homeboys can't come with you, right? You can have to. Someone has to get on to reach back and grab others to pull them up, right? So in order to do that, sometimes you have to be selfish and be focused on the goal at hand. Because I look at it like, if I'm down and out, you can't rely on folks sometimes, right? And I don't want to rely on folks to take care of me, right? So my thing is right now I'm gonna grind my behind off, get this done, and then I can look back and help those who may be in need and bring them up to my level. But I can't do that if I don't get there myself first. So I'm just being super mindful and very purposeful with my time, and that is right now music.
That's a intelligent philosophy. Very good.
Thank you.
What additional final thoughts and advice do you have for people out there who are wanting to be where you're at?
Yeah, take the time to learn an instrument. Piano would be a great start. But the game for music is more often than not short lived by those who don't play instruments. If you're just a singer, most people can find singers, right? It's hard to find a good, guitarist or bass player, or, and then it's harder to find a musician that plays an instrument, right? So my advice would be, learn an instrument, learn the theory of that instrument, and then more importantly, learn the business. It's going to take a year or two or more, but it will save you so much time and heartache and make you so much more money being more well-rounded. And that goes back to church. Most young black artists have some hand or tie into church as kids, right? Most of us started off, going back to the family dynamic of mom in church or dad in church. A lot of us as black artists began in church, right? So we have that spiritual foundation of music, and just for ourselves spiritually. But going back from that and then progressing today into being around those musicians, learning the instruments, reading music, you have to. My advice would be to you: take the time out. Get into a program at school, or if you're good enough to apply to Berkeley, if you're in that area. But take the time to learn your craft, right? Don't look at it as a way to make money, right? I hear all the guys who are well off say this all the time. Stop trying to do music for money. Stop trying to do whatever you love for money. Love it and do it. And a byproduct of that is the money.
Excellent, excellent. The money will come.
The money will come, So then my last advice to everyone would be, Oprah said it best. She said, uh, "Stop looking for other people. You have the ability to make it, but you're so busy trying to chase everybody else down, to help you, right?" So I didn't know what that meant. Let me further explain that. So then, what it meant was, if I focus on my theory for music, my instrument, my craft, and get really good, all those celebrities will come to you. If you put up a good video that's really rocking and you're playing your instrument really well, you'll get tagged by, Puff or whoever it may be. People are going to notice you when you're good. So my advice would be, hey man, learn something and get real good at it, and people will come to you. Stop trying to chase them. Get good at your craft, and they'll come to you.
In the movie, that those words remind me of the movie Bruce Almighty with Jim Carrey, where he's interacting with God,
Right,
Morgan Freeman,
right.
and he's asking God for a favor, and he goes, "That's the problem with people. They're
Yeah,
always looking up when they should just be looking at themselves.
yeah,
They can answer
exactly.
these prayers themselves."
Right,
So
right.
I love those words.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
can go ahead?
No, go ahead.
How can you be contacted?
Yeah, so you can contact me on Instagram. Again, I'm at More Phantom, MorePhantXM, More Phantom. That's a tagline that I use in my shows. After the show is done, I say, hey, if you want more of my music or you want to contact me, get at me at More Phantom. So again, More Phantom on Instagram. That's the best way to contact me. Is to hit me up on Instagram, follow. We're posting more videos of us doing shows. We'd love to hear your feedback. And if you're in the Bay Area or in Cali, come out and check us out. My band, my house band is called Big Trippin', and they're a local band that plays with everybody you can think of. Whenever celebs come in this area for shows, they use this band. And when they're not doing the celebrity shows, they're my band, and we rock out and jam all the time. So, again, if you're in the Bay Area, anywhere surrounding on the West Coast, if you're in town from somewhere else, look us up, man. More Phantom, hit me up on my Instagram, and I'll let you know where we're playing at next. Come by and see us.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for your valuable time.
Sir, as well.
All your words have been learning nuggets. I hope the audience grabs them and works them, and or at least to start out small with one thing and then work at that to mastery and then move on to the next thing. So thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Much love and respect and great success for you. I'm praying in the future. Take care of yourself.
Take care.